up to another good morning. Time to go. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. We are all looking for adventure. We are all
Welcome back to the 3x5 Life
podcast.
So we break down one thought in 3 to 5 minutes. So what are we jamming on today, Jessica?
So last week, Bryan teased at the very end of our podcast that he was going to enlighten you with his newest and favorite productivity tip at the moment. I think I've explained before that Bryan's superpower is habits and productivity, and then also experimentation. I think forever he's always trying to find new ways, different ways, unique ways to increase his productivity so that when he gets home at the end of the night, he can really focus on the family. So he's a good one to listen to.
So this is a combination of a few things I've learned from other people. So the book, The One Thing, had a huge impact on my life. What is the one thing you're going to accomplish in a day? Not the 3 things, the 5 things, the 10 things, by Gary Keller. And then the thought by Ed Milet of 3 days and 1 day. So it's a kind of a combination mesh of those. So what I've been doing is basically breaking my day into 3 days. So when I wake up at 5 a.m. to noon is 1 day. And then from noon to 5 p.m. is my day 2. And then from 5 p.m. to basically 9-ish when I go to bed is day 3. And I literally go take my 3x5 card and draw a line across and break it into 3 days within those time chunks. And I put in all my priorities, be it conference calls, whatnot. And then I put in my one thing per day. So in the morning, what is the one thing I want to accomplish between 5 a.m. and noon? And I write that in and I time block that one thing. And then I take a highlighter and I highlight across it. And then what's the one thing I want to do between 12 and 5? And I write that in and I highlight it. And then what's the one thing I want to accomplish at home with the family in the evening? Be it, go for a bike ride or whatever it is. What's that priority? Because that's a different day. It's the day with the family at that point. And I'm trying not to let one day spill into the next day. So my morning session is very strategic on something. Like I have a theme for that morning, and I don't let that bleed into the afternoon. I don't let the afternoon or my work bleed into my home. And what's interesting too is, like, I wake up with meditation. I wake up with energy where I go out and work out or do some type of movement. So that kicks off day 1. And at noon, and I can do this because I have some flexibility, but I reset at noon where I go for a walk at lunch, or I go for a light run at lunch. And I do some type of movement to get me prepared for my day 2. And then going into day 3 on the way home, like I'll listen to a podcast for 5-10 minutes on my drive home, but then I'll put in some music and really like start to prep myself for entering day 3 with a family. Some lighthearted, fun music to really get myself in the state of mind of playfulness to really start diving into the kids. So that's been my productivity strategy the last few months, and it's been huge. Just kind of saying, okay, what's my one thing, but within the 3 days of 1 day, if that makes sense.
I love that. Do you ever find that some of those one things in those 3 sections become your wins at the end of the day?
Oh, 100%.
Because I feel like you're almost setting yourself up for being like, okay, if I can transform this, or if I can hit this, then it naturally becomes a win because it brings that joy, that celebration, that piece of like accomplishment. Exactly.
And also like highlighting it, there's something about just like jumping off the card at me, because it's like the one activity in each, day that's highlighted. So there's 3 things highlighted on the card and it's staring at me all day long, and I want to accomplish it.
Yeah. I love that. And Bryan's mantra always, for a while now, has been bring the joy. And I feel like that mantra for you on your way home and when you come into the door, with that energy, so many of us are so lagging at the end of our day, but I do find from like a observer standpoint that you are able to kind of turn that on when you enter the door, and the kids feel it and I feel it, and it almost gives us a boost of energy. Yeah, because I'm trying to be intentional. It doesn't happen every day, but just bringing in some intentionality, and people are like, well, shouldn't you just roll with it, not be as scripted? But I feel like when you
do script it a little, then it just becomes awareness and you're just not walking through the next motion. You know, if you have a clear divide between work and home, a clear divide between your morning session and your afternoon session, then it just becomes like a reset. Like if the morning was junk because it just didn't work out like you wanted to, it's just like, all right, I'm resetting in day 2 at noon. So,
I mean, I think when you say scripted too, like I think about going back to education, you know, you have a lesson plan for trying to reach an outcome where you have this like deep learning for your group of kids or students, whoever is in front of you. And if I walked into my day with my students and had no plan or no idea where I was trying to get to, or the points that I needed to get to in order to instill that deeper learning, then it would be a disaster. So why don't we, you know, give ourselves that same gift of being able to plan and accordingly so that we also leave that day with that outcome or that feeling that we want to accomplish. So
yeah. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'll try to embed an image of what this looks like on the 3x5 life card in the newsletter that goes with this podcast. So you can check it out there. But we hope you enjoy this episode. Have a great week.
Have a great week.
Hello world, wake me up to another good